Hi Flosstube, it's Lisa Smith, Kindred Stitcher. Today is February 5th, 2023. 2023 always felt like it was way in the future, and here we are in the future. Welcome to my channel. This is a channel about cross stitch. I tell you a little bit about my life that's going on and adventures that we're having in stitching and all the good things. So welcome to my channel. If this is your first time, which always astonishes me, it seems like more and more people are coming back to cross stitch, or they're exploring Flosstube, and it's super thrilling to see new subscribers all the time. So thank you for coming. And if you're a returning subscriber, you've been here since the beginning, thank you so much. I treasure our friendship. I want to talk a little bit about this sampler right up here. So this is called Annie Wit, and every video that I film, shoot. Film is like 1980s, right? Every video that I shoot, at least one person asks me where they can get that pattern. So that is an antique. It has a dog on it, which is super exciting. I just love that central dog motif and the flowers. It's a great sampler. I will reproduce it one day. My husband and I are sort of in our transition period of our life where we're preparing our house for sale, and we're going to move to another state and build a house that we're going to live in post-retirement. It's exciting, it's scary, it's thrilling, and nerve-wracking. So stay tuned, that'll be coming in the future. And I just want to point out, so this is a new sampler that I bought. It is silk threads on linen, and I will insert some close-ups of this one. This one is very fine stitching. It gives a date of, I think it's 1834. It doesn't have a name on it, but it does have quite a few initials, and it is so pretty. The colors really haven't faded a lot, so it's a super soft color palette. In here there is a harp, and there's a woman and a man. There are birds and flowers and gazebos, and oh, it's gorgeous. It's a gorgeous sampler. So I added that to my ever-growing collection, and many of them are not framed, or they're not in their forever frame, and I need to work through. I probably won't reframe any while we're moving, because does it make sense to store a bunch of framed things, or would it be easier to store items that are not framed and that I can probably secure a little more easily? So ongoing discussion in my brain about that. And so I'll insert the close-ups right here. Isn't she gorgeous? One of my favorite samplers so far, but I say that every time. So, all right. So what happened since last time? We spent a weekend working on the shop. It was fun because even though my husband says there's not much you can do, I still go out and help him find ways to give him a hand. He's lifting heavy plywood sheeting. I used to be strong in my younger days, not as strong anymore, so I need to work on that. And one of my kids came over and helped out, and I love it when that happens because I get to see them. And I don't get to see them that often because they've lived several hours away for the last 5 or 6 years as they've gone away to college and work and all that. And then the second weekend, we went back, and we went Thursday night. I went Thursday night, my husband went on Friday. I stayed at my sister's, and I worked Friday, and then I left work a little early, and we went to a quilt show in Salem, Oregon. It's called the Oregon Quilt Festival. It's the first time they've done this show, and it will be twice the space next year. So what was great is that I would say there were probably at least 100 quilts on display, and they needed more space. They had some even draped over chairs because they just didn't have enough wall space. A lot of quilt guilds were there, so it was nice to see the active practice of quilting as quilting stores have closed their doors and people have moved into other crafts, or maybe just the overhead, it was too much in having a brick and mortar store. You just have fewer in-store shopping opportunities, much like cross stitch. So it's exciting to see vendors there too. And so I'm gonna, at the end of the video, just put in a collection of pictures of the quilts that we looked at. There were some beautiful, beautiful quilts. I also met Kathy Schmitz. I met Kathy's sister, Bonnie Sullivan. Excuse me, a little tickle in my throat. Kathy Schmitz is a well-known embroidery designer, and she has produced several books. She does classes, and she is a sweetheart. She's local to the Oregon area where I'm moving to. And her sister Bonnie is a well-known quilt designer, quilt fabrics, and Kathy also has done quilting material as well. But Bonnie does a lot of, she does block of the month, she does wool appliques, she does quilt books, and I have several of her quilt books. She and Dawn Heath, another quilt designer, had a block of the month club last year called the Aviary, which I joined and I haven't done anything with. I need to get that on track. And I'll drop a picture of that here. You can choose a light colorway or a dark colorway. I'll just show you what it looked like. And then this year they had a block of the month called the Sampler Maker. And I tried to resist this. I didn't buy a kit. I tried to resist it, but when I was in Bonnie's booth and I saw the model, I just couldn't, I succumbed to it. So what I'm going to try and do is stitch from stash. I'm going to do, it's all applique, or the good part of it's applique, and I will try to use my own material to make that. Now, I'm not sure how that's going to work with me moving and having fabric in totes, and I don't know. We'll see. I have a whole lot of scraps. I have several scrap bags that I might just, I was going to donate, but I just might hold on to them for a little bit longer until that, maybe I use that to make that quilt. Give myself a little challenge. I'll drop a picture of that one in here too. So the block of the month is closed, unfortunately, but keep your eyes out. Those two are, I think they're doing a book together, and they are amazing designers, beautiful projects. So when I was at the quilt show, I couldn't take pictures of their booths. The vendors didn't want pictures taken, and I understand and respect that. But I did buy a few things from Bonnie. Before I get into my stitching, just want to show you this. So Kathy is also in the process of moving, and she's a prolific designer and had to let go of some of her samples. So they were very reasonably priced, and I bought 3. I left a couple for other people, but the first one is this little ditty bag that has this, home sampler type feel to it. So this one, you could just put some, maybe some bittersweet or greenery in it and just hang it from a doorknob or a cupboard in the fall to celebrate fall. And she has such a sweet design. Kathy, her design aesthetic is sort of very quaint, I would say, and she's a tidy stitcher. She got it from her mother because my sister and I and my mom, we went to the quilt show and we all loved one quilt the most. And it looked like little tiny Dresden plates, and in the middle was a little motif embroidered. And what we found out was that was Kathy's mom. And she used one of Kathy's designs, a series of little smalls, and she stitched them in the middle of these Dresden plates, and they were so beautiful. And then there's stitching on the border. And so watch that. I'll have that at the end of the video if you want to see it. It was gorgeous. So beautiful, so quaint, so very neatly stitched. Beautiful stitching. This is the first sample I picked up. And Kathy quilted this. You can see the quilting, which I think sometimes people, like I would be uncertain whether I'd want to quilt over my embroidery, but she did such a beautiful job. It looks fantastic. And it's got the envelope style. Is that the envelope style of a backing? You just sew over and you can kind of tuck it in, the pillow form underneath. Anyway, it's so pretty and so fitting that it's near Valentine's Day. So of course I had to buy that. This is a favorite. I texted the pictures to Lori, my friend Lori Textiles, and she goes, oh, this is one of my favorites. Isn't that adorable? I mean, she's so, like, look at this. So what I love about embroidery is that you have different styles of stitching, but it also goes pretty quickly. You don't usually have the stitch density that you have with cross stitch. And then the back is, she just used a plain fabric on the back. She has buttons on the, isn't that adorable? So well done. She put cording on the, looks like a twisted thread, like a cording on the edge. Professionally done. She's a professional for sure. So I got those and those, and then I got this other one. So this is an unexpected treat. And Kathy, let me see if I can take the tag off of this. Here we go. Kathy likes mixed media as well, and she made this. And of course I had to buy this. Of course I did, because this just says I'm a needleworker, doesn't it? She used a scroll, what do they call that? Saw? Scroll saw, I guess? Bandsaw, and cut out the hand and found, this looks like it's a little, maybe a wooden pot that would be like a little flower pot you would get at Michael's little, in the wood section. And then she made this as well, and then put that big needle in it. I love this. This reminds me of Teresa Kogan. Teresa probably look at this and go, oh yeah, and it's all crackled and distressed. So yeah, I had to buy that. It's a one of a kind, right? So, and then at Bonnie's, oh, and then Kathy, what a sweetheart. She threw in this pattern because I was going to buy this. And she said, oh, you can throw this in. So Kathy Schmitz, I have a book of hers that I got also that I'll show you in a minute. Amazing stuff. So then when Bonnie was right next door, and I chatted with Bonnie for quite a while as well, and ended up looking at this. So this is a wool applique sampler, if you will, in the round. But she shows in her book different ways that you can make these particular designs. Like you could take the design and put it on a bag. She had this punch needled, punch needled. Several different ways that you could use these. You could find like a round frame, and just, if it was big enough, you could make one for every month and switch them out. You could make a banner. That'd be a cute banner. There's so many things to do with that one. So that one's called Butter Mold Sampler from Bonnie Sullivan. And then this one, French Inspiration for Joyful Hands. I couldn't remember if I had this one or not, quite frankly. It looks like they did it together. Yep, Bonnie and Kathy did this one together. Sorry, that was my phone going off there. So I got those two things from Bonnie. And let's see. So let me talk about stitching here in a minute. I was so excited for that I wanted to share that with you. Okay. Last time I was stitching on 2 projects, and I had some goals to get them done, and I met, well, all but one day I met those goals. The first thing I want to show you is, one moment please, is Beauty Fades by Teresa Kogan. This is a Patreon chart for her patrons when she hit 1,000 patrons, and it was only available for a week for download. And this is a chart that Teresa is releasing at market. So if you want to see the finished stitch like this, it's so pretty. It is so pretty. Go check out her Instagram page. And she shows it as a sneak peek. Well, I did take this and modified it. And somebody asked me on the video, one of the videos, you know, why did you feel like you needed to modify that? And I said, sometimes, you know, I'm looking at something and thinking about wall space, or maybe I'm just picking out the elements of the design I like the best and configuring it in a way that pleases me. So I finished this. This is my modified version of Beauty Fades. This is stitched on 40 count Relic by Picture This Plus. I split the design. I just took this band here and I put it underneath. I did not stitch this, but I might stitch this row down here in the future and make something out of that. And then I just dropped these two down to the top here. And this is what it looks like. So I changed the color of the roses to pink/red. The yellow that she designed, I loved it. I loved the yellow roses. They just were not going to show up on this fabric. So my fabric choice just really made it so I had to make a change. I made my girl, I gave her a browner skin tone. I made her arms a little more voluptuous. And I changed a couple of threads in here. But really, the heart of the design is all Teresa. This is just another version of it. So be watching for this from Nashville if you're interested in it. And I could not be happier with this one. Absolutely one of my favorite stitches of all time. And the next one I finished on February 1st. So my goal was to potentially have them both done in January. I started them both on New Year's Day. I was so tired on January 31st. I was so tired that night. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to finish this tonight. So I stitched a little bit and went to bed. And the end of the month is kind of busy at where I work because we're working on metrics. And so this is Every Opening Flower by Brenda Gervais. And this pattern is available through Dying to Stitch. It may be back ordered right now because of the demand. And I've been showing on Instagram, so you see my progress if you watch my Instagram channel. This is such a delightful stitch. I absolutely love this one. The colors, the composition, the use of flowers, it looks like a Quaker, just hit all of the boxes for me. And I just could not put this down. It was hard for me to choose between those two projects this month. Just loved it. All right. So 2 finishes, 2 New Year's Day finishes. I'm so excited. I went up to 52 whips. I have 1 abandoned whip and 2 finishes. So I'm down at 49, I think. Yes, 49. And I worked on a secret stitch. It took me like 2 days to stitch that. That I started on February 2nd. I can't show you that right now, but I will take a video clip before I mail it off. It's an exchange gift. I'll show you that to you in a future video. I also picked up this Mirabilia. So she is Lady of Mystery. And if you look at the Mira, Mira on the Wall Facebook group, you'll see people stitch this in lots of different colorways, lots of conversions. It's a beautiful piece. I'm stitching it on a one-of-a-kind fabric from Fantasy Dyed Fabrics. She used to sell on Etsy. She would just dye some fabrics and sell them. I bought a lot of fabric from her. She has gorgeous fabrics. I'm not sure that she's dyeing anymore. I don't know. But I picked this up yesterday and stitched a bit on the dress. I've stitched down maybe this much. It's 2 over 2. This is 32 count. And she is so much fun to stitch on. So the black work is actually 2 Karen Water Lily threads. There's one that's a darker color, and then there is one that's a grayer color. And then also part of this is black. So it calls for all of the straight stitch or the back stitch in 2 threads, and I don't love the way it looks. It looks a little clunky. So what I've decided to do is I'm just going to stitch the whole skirt, and there's a lot of skirt left. There's a lot of stitching there. I'm going to stitch the whole skirt, and then I'm going to do the black work. I'm going to decide if I want to take out some of these with 2 threads, like this little feather here. It's just kind of clunky looking, and stitch it in 1. So I'm not even going to worry about the black work right now. I'm just going to do that at the end. Fantastic. That skirt should come right over that really light part, and when it's behind, the colors behind it will make it just pop. Most of the beading on this one is not in the skirt. There's a little bit of beading, not much. There's really not a lot of beading in this one at all. There's a little bit in the trellis work. But you can see I've got the hard part done, her face. And I stitched her skin over one. I like it over one. I like it over two. They both are great. I just got in the habit of stitching them over one, but I like to stitch their face and their skin as soon as possible because it's weird stitching a body without a head. It just bothers me for some reason. I don't know why. So this one is Lady of Mystery. Now, I mentioned on my whip parade that I may do Mira March, and several of you were interested in that, and I have decided that I am going to do Mira March. So if you're stitching a Mirabilia and you want to stitch with me in March, just hashtag Mira, M-I-R-A, March. There is already a hashtag that was started like in 2015. There's like 6 photos on there, but don't worry about it. Put Mira March in, or I'm actually going to stitch between my Mirabilia and another piece that I'm thinking I might finish by Easter. So you can also use mostly Mira March as your hashtag. So both of those work. And I'm excited to see what you're working on. My goal is to stitch one of my Miras a year in my whip reduction plan. I'm not in a hurry, but this one has quite a bit still to stitch. And if I want, this is the one I'd like to focus on this year. And I think I can make significant headway between now and the end of March. So those are the whips that I can show you that I worked on. And I showed you a little bit of haul, talked about my life plans. I want to show you a little bit more haul because I know you guys love the haul. Okay. Before I start talking about haul, here's a few Flosstubers that I've been watching. Stitching Faye. Now, two of my friends, Carol Saltbox Stitcher and Annie from Annie Bees, messaged me and said, have you been watching her? And I'm like, I get done what I can get done, but sometimes I don't watch as much Flosstube as I would like to, and I haven't watched her yet. So they're like, she does diverse work like you do, so you might really like her. And sure enough, man, I fell down the rabbit hole. I think she has about a dozen videos, and I love all the stuff she's stitching. And she is a prolific stitcher. So like, she'll be like, oh, I started this, it's done. Wow, she is amazing. So check out Stitching Faye, F-A-E, on YouTube. And then I watched 2 videos now from Antique Cross Stitchers, my friends Liz and Shelly. I met them at the Amana retreat last fall. They weren't doing videos, but they were so cute. And girls, I'm just going to fangirl over you now, right? Because you do Flosstube videos. Hopefully I'll see you and Amanda again this year. But go check them out. They have a great setting where they do their videos. I think Shelly lives on a family farm. It has a grist mill, which has been converted into her craft studio. I mean, who doesn't want a grist mill studio, for crying out loud? And they're hilarious. They have such a great friendship. This last video, sorry, I think I'm talking really fast. I drank 2 cups of coffee this morning. But this last video, I think Shelly went on like a road trip with her husband, and she toured some different shops. And every time they go somewhere, they come back with things that make them think about their friend. And they are constantly giving each other gifts, which I think is fantastic because it's such a I'm thinking about you theme that goes through their videos. So check them out. And also the New Hampshire Stitcher. Several people have shouted her out. She's new, she's young. I enjoyed watching her videos. I love watching all the new people that are coming out. I've got several saved. I need to check them out. That's probably my goal in this next month, is to watch as many Flosstube #1s as I can and just provide encouragement to people. So there's a few Flosstubers I have been watching. Now, this is going to be a shorter video, but I do have a little bit more. My friend Annette at the Wool and Needle. So every time I go to Amana, I go to the Wool and Needle because that shop is so beautiful. And if you've watched my videos, I have several shop tours. It's such a cozy, I don't know, it just makes me feel like this is my heart. This is what I love. This is where my tribe goes. It's got quilting, it's got cross stitch, it's got punch needle and wool applique like you haven't seen before. Well, the shop encountered a loss recently. There was a water pipe break in the ceiling of the 2nd story, and it ruined a lot of their goods, their stitched models, their sewn models, and like their wool and some of their fabrics. So they have been dealing with cleaning that out. They've had to get rid of and dispose of a lot of their raw goods and their stitched models. It just breaks my heart to think that they've had to do that. But you know, one thing about that is that it does open a door for new creativity. So we'll just try and find something optimistic to think about. But check out her Facebook page. She talks a little bit about this. Despite all the challenges, they're still creating and distributing something which is really cool. And she sent to me, this is their spring block of the month, and it is wool applique. Okay, so here, this project is also, it can be seen on the Facebook group Threads of Folk Art. And you can see it on the Wool and Needles website. You can order through them. It is a full kit without threads, but it has all, look at that colors. Oh, I love those. This is the first block. I think they're all called Hello Spring. I don't know that the blocks are numbered, but I believe this is the first one. And this is the second one. Look at this. Is that not so adorable? Again, fully kitted, so beautiful. Then I have 3 more blocks here. So I'm going to show you all of them. Look at this rabbit with a butterfly on its nose. How adorable is that? And it comes with the charm, the little butterfly. And the carrots. I love this with the pennies on the side. So Annette stitching is fabulous. Lori and I have both been there several times, and Annette, I've taken pictures of the finished pieces. She is such a beautiful stitcher, and she uses more than just a blanket stitch. She uses so many to embellish, and this last one, it really highlights that. So let me show you this one. Look at how gorgeous that is. Oh my stars. Isn't that so pretty? So I would say go to the folk art, the Threads of Folk Art Facebook group. You can find information there. You can find it on the Wool and Needles website. Check it out. Subscribe, like, order. I'm going to start working on these. So I'm not sure. I'm undecided which one I'm going to start with. But you can find more about the projects from the Wool and Needle. I have so many of her kits. Her kits are gorgeous. Now, I also in the mail received this lovely Threads of, what is this called? Threads of History, Bertha May Brown by Chessie and Me. It is so pretty. So, 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 so pretty. Pinks, reds, all the stuff. And here are the colors, the thread colors. There's really not that many threads in it. And then this is a fiber on a whim. What color is this? Old gold linen. Well, this is green. This is kind of a goldenish green color. But it's sort of a very rich color. I have decided that I'm going to modify this one too. And I'm going to write, I'm just going to stitch the bottom part, and I'm going to chart out, how do I love thee? Let me count the ways. So, and I'll use some of the bands because she does have maybe some specialty stitches in the bands that are very pretty. So I will integrate that in the space above and beyond the text, above and below the text. So that came in the mail. It took all my self-control not to start that right away. And then I received this from Martingale. So Martingale books, they do a lot of quilt books and craft books and embroidery books. They're going out of business. So I went on their website as soon as I heard, and I ordered some books. They were like half price or less. absolutely blowing everything out. In fact, they were so swamped with orders, they put out videos to say, please don't call us and email us. We are sending it out as fast as we can. So this one, Dear Jane, I have been wanting to buy this. This is not the original, although it's the same book. It is a reprint of the original, the 25th anniversary. One of these was done at the Quilt Festival in Oregon. It's incredible. And what's incredible is not just all these little pieces, but these triangles. Fussy. And who is doing this? Jen, the Calculated Stitcher, is doing this one with her mother. And she shows these. So I aspire to do that one day. One day. Now here's one of Kathy Schmitz books. I've shown one of her other books on my channel before. And so I love this one. Is that not adorable? Wouldn't this be pretty with like French general fabric on the inside? Just saying. Look at that one. Oh, I can't even stand it. I love her stuff so much. And then Prairie Patchwork. This is by Martha Walker. Then two Laundry Basket Edita Sitar. This is, I think I have one of her books, but Red and White Quilts too. I have the first one, I believe. I want to do every single one in this book. Every single one. And the same with this A Season in Blue. I love star quilts. Probably my favorite type of quilt, although I like applique as well. All right, so the last bit here is the winners of, I haven't drawn these yet, so I'm going to draw them and I'm going to put it below. The first one is the winner from last time. This is Every Heart Beats True. It's a shepherd's bush. You had to write the word true. The winner is. So please email me at the email address in the description box below. The second one is Floral Heart Kit. I've already stitched the kit, so it's just the pattern. The winner is. Also, email me, please, below. And then my friend, and I think it's Tamaya Tanner. I think she wrote Tanner Tamaya, but the Vintage Tulip Designs, I stitched a, what was it called? It was on Extra Designs website, Midsummer Flowers, I can't remember, Garden, Midsummer Garden maybe? I stitched that and I gave it to a friend for retirement. It was so pretty. It was full of purples. It was such a pretty floral sampler. She sent me a project bag. Look at this. Very timely with the hair, the spring hair. Thank you so much. And she sent a year of bunnies. So here's January. These would be adorable smalls. February, March, April. Look at this one. May. So pretty. A basket full of these. June, July, August, September, a harvest of carrots, October, November, and December. So she sent these all to me and I asked her if I could share, and I'm just going to keep the project bag, but I am going to share these with you. One winner will win all 12 patterns. So for next time, if you would please say in your comment the word vintage, and that way we'll honor her with her generous gift. And if you don't win these I believe are available on her website. So just Google Vintage Tulip Designs and you should be able to find this. Probably it'll be a download too. She is from Hungary, so she is not in the United States and produces beautiful designs. 34 minutes, yay! Trying to get back on track with doing about a 30 to 40 minute video. By the time I add pictures on the back and insert some things where I messed up and have to clarify, it's probably going to be more like 40 minutes. But it was such a great time to see you. Thank you so much for visiting my channel. And what's coming up in the next couple of weeks, more working on our shop, getting ready for, and our house here, getting ready for our house sale. That's it. Have a great, actually probably will be after Valentine's Day. Have a great Valentine's Day, and we will see you shortly. Take care.